What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. And you guys are reading the title. This is the first video I'm doing in the off season regarding this topic, because every off season this seems to be something that's discussed like at large, pretty much every off season. And we'll get to a tweet that talks about that. But we're talking about William Nylander. Should the Maple Leafs trade him? I'd like to say right off the bat, I don't think so. Again, a lot of people know he's my favorite player, but if a trade makes this team significantly better, I've never been against it. I've said it. I'll say it again. Nazem Kadri was my favorite Leaf. He got traded, and for some it worked out, for some it didn't. But the situation that had to happen at the time happened. He was getting suspended. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. I'm not just going to come on here and defend Nylander the whole time and say, no, he shouldn't be traded and because he's my favorite player. What I will say is I'm going to provide numbers. I'm going to provide information in my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion on why I believe he should stay. And the only way that I would like him moved is if this team got significantly better. It would have to be a part of a bigger package or a bigger trade, because you can't just make a one-for-one trade and be like, yep, well, this guy hits a few more times than Nylander, but he doesn't get as many points, but he's a little bit more grittier. That doesn't always make the team better. That's a lateral move. You're not really making any sort of move to make this team much better, and that's what I'm going to be covering. So if you are new here and you love Leafs offseason news, rumors, trade videos, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. Thank you guys so much for the support on the last couple videos. This is my bread and butter. I do this all the time. But yeah, William Nylander, and we'll start off with a David Alter tweet on how William Nylander will handle this summer with his name being in trade rumors. And Nylander said, "My summer will be the same. That's all I've heard since I've been here." Now, if you guys haven't watched William Nylander in interviews or whatever else, the guy is laid back. He's usually laughing, doing his thing. He's never the type of guy that lashes out or goes crazy. And you would expect somebody who's always in the trade rumors, who's always being, has like basically people with binoculars looking at him 24/7. You would think he'd be a frustrated guy, but he had a career year. He was really good. And what people don't seem to understand before we get into anything is that while you might not like the way William Nylander plays, his style of play, he's not aggressive, he's not a physical guy. Not every player is the exact same. They don't show the same things. They don't play the same way, because if they did, then this league would be boring. You need a bit of everything. You need different styles of players. When the Leafs drafted William Nylander, they didn't draft him to develop him into a power forward. They developed him to be a scoring Sweden-style player where he just picks up a lot of points, can make a flashy play, and has a good shot with pretty decent accuracy. And I think that he's blown everybody out of the water when it comes to their expectations, because when he came in, they figured he would be a good piece, but I don't think people expected him to be this good. And I know some people are going to, the Nylander fans saying he's so good. Guys, William Nylander is a very good player. He was an 8th overall pick. Sure, that's a first round top 10 pick, but some guys who get picked 1st, 2nd, or 3rd overall don't pan out. The Leafs got a guy who can score 30 goals and give you 80 points, selected 8th overall, and has a less than $7 million contract. And that's something that will be a very key factor in this entire video, is people are always looking to the Nylander contract as the one that will get the Leafs out of cap hell. Now, lots of other teams are also in cap hell or cap problems. But that's due in part to a global pandemic that people don't seem to give any credit to any team, not just the Leafs, that are in cap trouble. The salary cap is going to be $82.5 million next season. If this never happened and the pandemic never happened, which, again, who is expecting that? If you were, I mean, you're a genius, but the cap would have been over $90 million by now. They were expecting a raise of $3 to $4 million 2 years ago, before the new ESPN deal, before the Seattle franchise was in the NHL. Revenue has been going up with those things, but then the pandemic happened, washes away all of that. So the Leafs would have not been in this this predicament, they probably would have re-signed Zach Hyman. They probably would have maybe held on to Freddie Anderson. Who knows? But they would have had money to at least hold on to guys that they felt like were key into them building into the next season. But because of that, they had to go with cheaper options and everything else. But less than $7 million for a guy that's going to give you 70 to 80 points every year and be over 30 goals every year is probably a good player that you want to keep around. But if you're talking about highest trade value, William Nylander with 2 years left on his deal at under $7 million has a ton of trade value and could be a centerpiece of a very large deal that could make the Leafs better. But again, I'm telling you, the Leafs need to go out there and get somebody that's going to move the needle if they're going to trade somebody like William Nylander. And I've said it before on the channel, but I want to explain it again a little bit more. The Kawhi Leonard thing doesn't make sense. And if people are not understanding what that is, the media is saying that the Leafs need to make a Kawhi Leonard type trade. I'm a Raptors fan. I'm a basketball fan. The Kawhi Leonard trade couldn't be like, it's just not the same as this. It's like if Sidney Crosby or let's just say Yevgeny Malkin, for instance, like a guy who's a really, really solid player and at some point was a top 5 player in the league. Let's say Yevgeny Malkin went to the Penguins and said, I'm not playing for your team and I'm probably not going to play for most teams that you're going to trade me to. So good luck with that, and I'm just not going to play. That's the Kawhi Leonard situation. People weren't even sure if Kawhi, when he was traded to the Raptors, was going to be playing. They didn't know if he would want to play for Toronto. But the Raptors traded away DeMar DeRozan, their best player. You could argue him and Kyle Lowry. Best player at the time. And I love DeMar DeRozan. I was so sad when the trade happened because I didn't think Kawhi was going to play for the Raptors. He inevitably did, and they won the NBA championship in 2019, which was fantastic. Shout out to Kawhi. Hope he's doing well. But DeMar DeRozan was traded. And that was a big piece for a big all-star top 3, top 5 player in the league. Those trades don't happen anymore, especially in the NHL, because it's not the same situation. And they had to rest Kawhi for half the games, this, that, and the other. But trading a William Nylander or a Mitch Marner for a better player 1-for-1 or with tinkering little pieces in the deal is not going to happen. They need to make this a big package or find a way to get multiple pieces that are very, very good pieces that will help the Leafs. Because if you're looking at him, he's 26 years old, 6 foot, 202 pounds. Like I said, an 8th overall selection in 2014. He had 80 points in 81 games played this year. His career numbers have been really good, but I want you to take a look at his 30 points in the last 39 games played, which is his entire playoff career. 39 games played, 30 points. If you're looking at Austin Matthews, who is a 60-goal scorer and star of the team, has only 3 more points in the same amount of games. Mitch Marner has the same, 3 more points in the same amount of games. And the fact of the matter is for the longest time now, what have we been saying? The Leafs need playoff performers. Oh, Mitch Marner was invisible last year. Oh, Matthews was invisible. They all played well this year. They all did what they could. They lost in 7 games to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we're back again. But playoff performers don't grow on trees. Guys who score over 30 goals don't grow on trees. And especially guys with those types of numbers don't come in at under $7 million. And I'm going to have to keep repeating it. I'm not defending him staying on this team. I would love William Nylander to be on this team, and I'll show you how it's still possible. But if they make a trade, it has to be a massive trade. They have to be getting back multiple good pieces, or he has to be the centerpiece of a very, very big return coming back. If the Leafs have to put more pieces in to get an even bigger piece, sure. The trade has to make them better. Kyle Dubas said it, and you don't have to agree with him. It's just common sense. You're not making a lateral move at this point. You're not making a move that puts you in the same place as before just for the sake of making a trade. You need to get better. Now, people are going to look at this and say, this is trash. This roster isn't going to win anything. This is not what I'm saying the Leafs' final roster is going to be. Case in point, there's still places in this roster that need to be filled. But if we're going by a skeleton here and saying this is what the Leafs could start with in terms of rebuilding their team in the offseason. If you take a look at the long-term injured reserve, this just takes away the money from the salary cap, so I just throw them down here so you guys can still see the names. If you trade away Kerfoot at $3.5 million with 1 year left, Peter Mrazek, which will take a sweetener and something else, the Leafs are going to have to try to move this. 2 years left at 3.8, and Justin Hall with 1 year left at $2 million. Now, people might be saying, why are you trading Justin Hall? Why, like, he played decent, blah, blah, blah. It's hypothetical. If you're trying to clear out money, maybe you trade Jake Muzzin and you let Sandin and Liljegren take on the second pairing. You keep Justin Hall, you get more cap savings with trading Jake Muzzin, and you get another piece for that defense. Whatever you want to do, the Leafs are going to be cutting money. And another thing I want to acknowledge, Justin Hall and Alex Kerfoot don't have negative trade value. For some reason, people think that you're going to have to attach assets to get rid of Kerfoot. Don't listen to those people. That's ridiculous. You can trade Kerfoot to most teams in the league that he would want to go to because he has a modified no trade clause. But he is a very valuable player. At 1 year left at $3.5 million, lots of teams are going to be interested. He had a really good season this year. Not the best playoffs, but still a very, very good player, a good two-way player, and he has good trade value. Justin Hall had a good and bad, hot and cold, whatever you want to say, season. He's only $2 million for 1 more year. He's a serviceable right-handed defenseman. If the Leafs want to keep him, that's great. If they want to trade Jake Muzzin, whatever they want to do, he doesn't have negative trade value. Peter Mrazek, on the other hand, has probably negative trade value. They're going to have to figure out a way to move that contract. Easier said than done, but I still believe it's possible. There was teams last year that even wanted to take him on. I don't know. Maybe the Leafs have to sweeten it a little bit too much, but if it's clearing out money to be able to keep your core four and your superstars together, then you have to do it. But Nick Abruzzese looks like a guy that the Leafs want to try on the fourth line, so we'll see. Maybe he doesn't go there. You can insert somebody else like a Curtis Douglas if they want that size and, that cheap contract. They could go with a Curtis Douglas there, that toughness. Nick Robertson, he has to be in the lineup next year. This is his prove-it year. He has to be there, so I believe they'll let him start. Of course, you still have Bunting, Matthews, Marner. You still have Nylander, Tavares there. David Kampf, who had a really good season. Wayne Simmons, you could argue the Leafs could get rid of him if they bring up a Curtis Douglas. Shalgren, I don't think he'll even be the backup, but if he is, let him get some games in. I'm not sure. So with this roster and giving Liljegren and Sandin $2.2 million deals, because Liljegren was good this year, but they're probably going to look at the Travis Dermott deal that they had before and say, why are we going to give you guys a ton of money? We're going to put you on bridge deals. Sandin was injured for most of the season, so they're probably going to bridge him as well. I think these numbers are probably pretty accurate. So you need one more defenseman here. You need some forwards, which you could still re-sign an Andre Kasha. You could re-sign an Engvall. You could re-sign a Mikheyev, so they could fill out some spots there. And then they obviously need a goalie. But $13.5 million in cap space, that number could go up if you put Hall in here instead of Muzzin and trade Muzzin. That's completely up to you guys if you want to sound off in the comments. But this is plenty of money to go out there and find spots for your team that would make sense. You can get a really good forward. You can get a really good, bottom pairing, rough and tough defenseman. You can get a starting goaltender. And I think a lot of people are torn up in the Leafs. Oh, they're going to have to spend so much money in free agency, blah, blah, blah. The Leafs still have tradable assets. They have multiple first-round picks in the next couple of years. Well, they have not multiple per year, but they have this year, next year, and the year after of first-round picks. They still have some third-round picks, fourth-round picks. They have a second. They have some good prospects. People seem to think the Leafs have no prospects. They have really, really good prospects, especially Namala, but they're probably not going to move him. They have guys that they can move, and maybe you find a really good value player via trade that a team needs to get rid of for cap reasons, or maybe they just want to move on from him. And the Leafs are able to get a top 6 guy, or they're able to get a starting goaltender, or they're able to get a top 4 defenseman. and not have to overpay in free agency, but overpay in a trade, which I think, because they're trying to save money, might make a little bit more sense for them. So I wanted to leave that with you guys, saying that the Leafs do have ways of being able to make this team better by not trading away a superstar, which, again, if they get better and they have to do it, then do it. But if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, then you're going to screw up. It's not going to work out for you. So if you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the oh my God, that's for my other channel. Join the squad. That's it. I was almost going to say join the Andy gang. That's my other channel. But thank you guys so much. Love and appreciate you guys as always. What are the Leafs going to do? Sound off in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.